Hey Out Louders, October is LGBTQ+ History Month, and today, the day we're making this video live, is National Coming Out Day. Because this is a special occasion, we wanted a special guest for today's video.
This guest does something that I know I can't do, nor a lot of people. He's a global lecturer.
His name is Greg Baird. He has been giving lectures to thousands of people across the country, to colleges, companies, and gatherings of all kinds, spreading awareness and education of the LGBTQ+ community.
One of the things he says is we all have the ability to be the voice of change.
And today, we want to show you how Greg's voice has been changing lives for the past few decades.
Happy National Coming Out Day to everyone, and without further ado, introducing Greg Baird. Welcome to Out Loud. He's with us down in Key West right now. We are so excited to have him here, and even more excited for you to learn more about him. So I'm thinking to myself, you don't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a global lecturer. So why don't you tell our viewers how you got into all this?
I, like a lot of people, when they go to college, they belong to like an LGBT group, and the group I belonged to was called Gay Lesbian Association for Student Support, GLASS. And shocker, I was a social director after about 2 weeks.
Shocker.
So I just got involved and spoke at the residence halls, and then my degree was in education. Worked at Interlochen Center for the Arts, started the first Gay Straight Alliance. It's in northern Michigan, and just belonged to a variety of groups, and worked at a college where I was director of a lecture series and met some influential people. And I was speaking part-time for several years, and then 2003 rolled around and an agency said to me that I worked with, we'd like to represent you full-time, but you need to be near a major airport to fly in and out. And I was in northern Michigan, no major airport other than Traverse City. So moved to Chicago and building up my career and talks and different things. So yeah, and do a little filmmaking on the side.
Yes, he has a YouTube channel that needs a lot more love, so go and subscribe.
Give me some lovin'.
Smash that like button.
Smash it! Smash it!
You have a history of speaking to all these people in colleges and things like that, and I'm wondering if you have any wild stories about being on stage and speaking to all of these people.
When I first started speaking, I don't tell this very often, it's a little disgusting. I used to get so worked up that I would throw up before I go. Not anymore.
What's the number one phobia for people is public speaking, so I'm wondering how you...
And now it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. The other thing is probably what I say I'm following my legacy. So one of the things is I met a young girl speaking at Central Michigan University, and I kind of forgot about her about a year later. But I had introduced Judy Shepard, Matthew Shepard's mother. Yeah. And I was asked to introduce her, and it was like a crowd of 2,000. And long story short of it, some students that were there wanted to give her that, remember the big banner paper that was on the roll?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
yeah, they had all signed it. So we're walking down the middle aisle with my friend Tim, and there's a young girl on the side of the theater going, Greg! And my friend Tim says, do you know who that is? And I said, I have no idea. And I got up to the front, I'm giving you a short version of this, got up to the front, handed over the students to Judy Shepard, because everybody was filing out. It was at the end of her show, or end of her speech. Yeah. And she came up, she goes, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. And I said, I'm kind of deciding if I should do this full time.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so she said, I was at your lecture a year ago. I said, well, thank you. And she goes, well, I'm not finished yet. And I go, oh. And she goes, I saw the poster today for your lecture, and I wasn't going to come at all. I was leaving my dorm room with my backpack, and I saw the sign, and she said, what do I have to lose? And I said, well, I'm really glad you came. And she goes, I'm not finished yet. I go, and my friend Tim was like, let her talk, So she proceeded to tell me something that actually changed the shift in my life and speaking. And she said, what I did not tell you is I had left a map to my roommates of 2 different locations of where to find my body, because I was going to commit suicide. And she goes, I was dating an older student, female, that was mentally and emotionally abused me. I was not out to my family, and I wasn't doing well in school. And she goes, I saw the poster, I came to your lecture. This is when I was talking a lot about coming out issues, and I always help people don't do it right away. Do it when you have things kind of in order. And she goes, I didn't listen to you. She goes, I was so motivated after your lecture. I went home. I lived about a half hour away from the college, and I came out to my family, and she said, you know what? They love me just the same. And the girl that was abusive, I dumped her, and I graduate in 2 months from this school. And she said, and I always said to myself, if I ever see you again, I want to thank you. I'm getting a chill right now.
Me too.
I want to thank you for saving my life. And I have a really big chill now. I've never had anybody in my career, at that point, I've worked with a lot of people, ever tell me that. And she hugged me. She did a little boop, little skip and jump, and off she went. I never saw her again. And I looked at my friend Tim, like a puddle on the floor, and he said to me, if that doesn't, I'm giving you the clean version of this, if that doesn't tell you what you should be doing for the rest of your life, you are a dumbass.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said.
That affirms your career right there.
Yeah, and that totally, like after that event, I told my college that I was working at that I'm leaving and going to Chicago. It wasn't too far after that.
This video is sponsored by BetterHelp.
It's great that Greg helped this woman when she was struggling. Yeah. But you know who else can?
What you got?
BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform. You can get access to convenient and affordable professional therapy no matter where you are.
And now during LGBTQ+ History Month, I want to recognize that when you're filling out your profile on BetterHelp, of course it asks you your gender, identity, your sexual orientation, and you fill out that information, but then it asks, would you like to be matched with a therapist who specializes in LGBTQ+ care? I mean, isn't that awesome?
And right now, if you click on that link below, betterhelp.com/outloud, and you sign up, you get 10% off your first month. How easy is that?
And I love that Greg could be there for this woman in her time of need, but a lot of people feel alone and really isolated. Maybe they've tried therapy before and it just wasn't the right fit, or it was too far away.
Yeah, that's the great thing about BetterHelp. You can do it from your home. Like, how comfortable? Like, you can be in your own environment, so it's awesome.
Check the link below if you're interested, but for now, back to the video. That's the impact.
That was a sign. You know, you have moments in your life that it's kind of like a knock on the door, and you open up, you're like, oh, who's that? That was my knock on the door.
But most people don't answer that door.
They do. They don't. You're right. You're right. They keep the door locked. They need to open it up.
You don't know what people are going through, and to be there for them and provide them that education and support.
Right.
I mean, that means the world.
And somebody once told me, Greg, you may hear, like on Facebook or YouTube, on the people that you've influenced who are, support over the years, but it's the ones that are quiet that you haven't heard from that you've done. And that to me was a big sign.
That's amazing.
I love telling that story.
I always say, like, if you, any type of feedback that you get, like when someone writes a comment to us or whatever, I always think it's like, wow, first off, they took the time to do it. But then I think there are a ton of people, because when I watch lectures or YouTube or whatever, a lot of times I don't comment, but like it still has a huge impact on me, or a teacher had a huge impact on me. So it's absolutely wonderful that you get that affirmation and like it's life-changing.
Well, it's at the end of my lecture, I get all these hugs and different people will come up. I love that, or they want to, I'll stay as long as I can. And talk with them and hear, because everybody's got a story. I mean, you two do that with their channel, I do, and other people, and it's the storytelling that changes policies, it changes laws, hearts and minds, and that's what it's all about.
Right. I need the mic.
Because
we get messages too about what people are going through, and that makes us continue to make videos. That makes it all worth it.
Right.
What's the largest audience you've spoken to?
Remember when Prop 8 was happening in California?
Yes.
All right, so it became law and then it didn't. All right, I spoke downtown Chicago, and I have the photo, actually, it's an awesome photo. I took the bus downtown because I was asked to speak in downtown Chicago for the Prop 8 rally. 5,000 people were there. The other big audience, I spoke at a World Peace Conference in Ontario, California. I had another one, probably like 2,500 people. But the one downtown Chicago was like, amazing.
That's amazing.
I mean, there was news and everything, of course,
How long have you been lecturing then?
30 years.
So 30 years, I mean, our community has changed in 30 years. So how do you adjust your lectures and topics? Like, how have they changed, like, in that past 30 years?
So when I first started, it was a lot about coming out issues. Everybody want to hear your coming out story.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of that, or, you know, the process of coming out. I also talked about hate crimes at the times, which I still do.
Yeah.
But that has changed because I find a lot of the coming out stories, especially college students, they don't want to hear about it.
Right.
Unless it's a really great story, which I feel mine is pretty good.
His is awesome.
So you just kind of watch the trends. So I read a lot, I educate myself. I know, like, the last 2 years, allyship and being an ally, a straight ally, is very important because we have our LGBTQ plus community, and then the A is really important because it's our allies. We need to have our allies. So I really hit home with that. So that's how that's changed. You know, I talked about the murder of Matthew Shepard when that happened for many years.
And how long ago was that now?
It'll be 25 years in October.
25 years.
Isn't that amazing?
It's frightening.
Yeah, and then, well, so
you
long.
Think,
yeah.
Right. You think, oh, that happened a few years ago. 25.
And you look back at that and, like, have things changed.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Some hearts, and then I sometimes feel we take a couple steps back.
You do. I always say you feel like you're doing 10 steps up and maybe about 3 or 4 back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to keep going.
Yeah, and with that being said, how do you think, where are we going? What is the future?
So what I see right now, as a lot of us know, we seem to be in a country or in a world, we're on edge all the time, and people are angry.
Yeah.
Or they're on the cusp of being angry. And I just tell people, for one, get your information from the news, a good news source.
Good news source.
A good news source.
Is there one?
Yeah, is there one? But turn off the TV and step away, but you need to do things outside of yourself for the community.
Yeah.
And that's the big point. But where we're going, I think eventually we're going to get people are going to get fed up of the bigotry and the hate. Where that point is from right now, I don't know, but my encouragement is there's a lot of us older guys that have been doing the work a long time, and the younger ones need to step up, and not everything's done by a cell phone or a camera, but you need to be proactive and be there, and as I always say, share your stories face to face, because it changes the world.
And I'll speak from my own generation. We need to appreciate and give thanks to the generation that came before us, who paved the way, because I can walk down the street holding Brian's hand now and feel okay.
And we remember those days where it was like, okay, you might hold a hand, but then you're kind of like looking around.
Looking over your shoulder.
So there is hope. I have hope. That's the reason why I do, and I'll be doing it till my dying day. You know, I'll probably be, in the hospital bed saying, can I just do one more lecture, please?
Let me just go to the lounge and talk.
Yeah, really, with my walker.
Yeah.
But things are changing, and I know some people are discouraged, but you really need to be out there. And I always say, if you don't understand somebody that's transgender or non-binary, educate yourself. Have a conversation with somebody that is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's how you learn. Don't just say, I don't get it, because I get that from a lot of people.
Right.
If you don't get it, well then educate yourself so you do, and don't pass that hate on to other family members. Educate them to be better people. Absolutely.
And we're filming this in Key West in Florida, where there's a lot of political things going on with LGBTQ rights, and I have a bright outlook for the future, but again, we need to do the work in order for it to go where we need it, where we want it to go.
Yeah. Here it's very special island.
Well, you're in a bubble.
We are in a
it's
bubble.
Like Chicago, where I'm at, you're in a bubble.
We're in a bubble here, and it's wonderful. But we know outside that bubble, it gets challenging.
I'll go to a college where the LGBT group will meet, like after the lecture, where I have a meeting, and I get invited, but it's like a secret code in what room they're going to meet in. That's not everywhere, but like some remote areas, they're like here because they're worried about hate or hate groups. So it's still, we need to be better.
Yeah. So earlier you said like the college kids don't want to hear the coming out story. Is it just because it's like they might have come out in middle school and it's not such a big deal anymore for?
I think some of them just feel it's like a repeat. Unless it's a really unique story, I still include it.
Can you please tell it? Yours, with your brother. And
So
let's hear it.
All right, so my brother and I are both adopted. Well, I do this in the lecture. I show this god-awful picture of like 1970. So I was probably like, let me think, 9 years old. So I show this picture. It's really, it looks like the Addams Family. And and as the chicken sings. So yeah, so it's a picture I show. I've told my family, my dad and my brother, I use this picture. It's all good. So I go through like what white privilege looks like and everything. So, but the one thing I do is I go, well, there's 3 things I'm going to tell you about my brother. We're both adopted. We're both adopted from different families. Now, if I'm in an audience in front of me, then virtually, I usually have like nursing students or sociology, and they're taking notes or whatever. And this is the best case scenario. So they're usually in the middle. I have the LGBT group usually in the front row.
Okay.
And so I'll say, does anybody want to guess what the 3rd thing is? And then they're a little afraid, and then somebody will raise their hand, or I'll see somebody mouth, you're like, you're both gay? I go, we're both gay. And I'll see like the people there, the sociologists, psychologists, they go, like, how did that happen? Then the next thing is, how do you know? And I didn't really know until I came out later to my family, like around 1990, 91, and my brother was 93. And both times that my parents were hit with the information, it wasn't well received. So, and that's what I just tell people. Just make sure, we have our chosen families.
Yeah.
And that's what I have.
100%.
And that's what makes the difference. So have those people that'll stick with you and understand you and those things. But yeah, it's a unique story.
And with that, this man is now part of our family. We've had so much fun.
We've had so much fun
here in
with
Key
him.
West.
Wonderful.
Oh
We've had a great time.
He's living out loud.
But wait, we're not only the lecturer thing, but we got to go the spicy thing.
Oh,
we got to do that.
Oh, okay, you guys know that Brian and
yeah.
I love to cook.
Yes.
And this man has given us some of his spice, Gregor's
Spice
seasonings.
He has a
Woo!
Yeah.
We'll put a link in the
line.
description for his website. He makes all the seasonings at his house.
At my house, yeah. I love to cook, and so I started this small seasoning business, like 2007.
Because he doesn't have enough to do.
Yeah, I don't have enough
Yeah.
to do, so I thought I'd take on another thing. Yeah, so now I have 15 different kinds of seasoning that I sell, and I post on Facebook a lot or Instagram, but yeah, you can find online.
They're
RegorSeasoning.com.
Absolutely
There you go.
wonderful and different seasoning. It's not going to be like lemon pepper, here you go, or it's like,
Right.
yes, there's your staple ones, but there are some really...
And you have like rotating new ones too.
Yeah.
I know that kind of
Oh,
comes
I
into
love that.
place too.
And
so,
that's the
yeah.
thing, I always say, I'm not going to do anything new. And then I've ate those words like 6 times,
So I'm sorry, the pickle popcorn seasoning.
Oh, that's my favorite,
I
the
would
dill
think I'm
pickle,
like,
it's great.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to put this on my popcorn because I
you
am
cannot stop
I
eating
am.
I know.
It's like
Yeah.
we ran out of it. I think the first week we had.
That's
got some
hilarious.
From him. So.
Thank you.
And your honey chipotle as well.
Oh, honey
Yeah,
chipotle.
yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
So, Greg, global lecturer, LGBTQ, DEI, a spicy seasons man.
Woo!
We were so honored to have you.
Oh, I
with us
love
today.
this. You guys did
So-
so much to have people here. And
Oh gosh, that was nothing. We're just glad you guys showed up.
You keep on putting the goodness out and the fun information and everything that you guys
Well,
do.
good, because we want everyone to make sure they're still living their lives
Out loud.